All right, we are back on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Jonathon Howe, Travis Cunningham, episode 16. Who's the first guy you think of when it comes to the number 16 locally here, Travis?
That's the easiest one there is. Gino Bigelow, Jimmy Bigelow, and Brent Bigelow.
Nice. Yep, that's a
hmm
pretty iconic number around these parts. I also will raise you Fabio Oliveri as well.
That's the only other one I can think of when I was trying to
That was
think
the
really
only one
hard.
I could think of besides Brent, right?
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I feel like it's one of those numbers that like it's got a family legacy, so people like try to stay away from it typically. But
At the Merrittville too. Like, what's that? Ohsweken. There's no. I can't think of a 16 other than Fabio. Sorry if there is one.
yeah,
I can think of some former ones like Derek
yeah,
Wutzke
we're
used
not.
to run the mods and Brent Robbins and the street stops and stuff. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But yeah, Bigelow
Yeah,
owned the 16 at Merrittville.
Bigelow. Gosh, Brent's having a great year too in that mod light. Like, I
Yep.
think I talked to him the eighth time, seventh time. I've lost count on Brent's wins to be honest.
Yep.
We'll get to Merrittville in a second. We should probably start with our former guest, Josh Hansen, bringing home another checkered flag in the Cool Kids Core Pack 360 Sprint Cars over at Ohsweken. Talk to us about your vantage point of that one.
Yeah, so talk to Josh all the time. Park right next, couple over from him. Beckett on one side, Stratford's on the other, and then Sheridan's two over, and then Hanson's two over on the other side. So fun little group we got down there. I always talk to Josh, and he had a tough time the week before. Didn't even get out for the heater beaming because came up with a motor problem early, and so yeah, they had to buy a new engine and everything throughout the week. They got it from the Hoddocks, and Josh says, yeah, it rips. Best motor he's ever had, and clearly showed. Spanked ass.
Yeah, it was good to see him back at it. I mean, started fourth, so only had a little bit of work to do to get to the front of this field. You yourself made up 6 spots, coming from 17th up to 11th, so not a bad run for you. Any day that you pick up spots rather than lose them is a good day in my books. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, still just can't get qualified quite like we need to, and I think I could have done better, but I was rolling on the top for the first time good this year because the track had a little more bite and it was a lot more fun to run. Like it was still pretty slick, but there was just like a pretty good cushion formed in 3 and 4. It was way up there, and then 1 and 2 still had some brown dirt, so you could like keep the throttle pretty much down and drive the snot out of it. I almost caught the wall out of turn 2 because that's where it doesn't hold. Like the cushion holds real good in 3 and 4. Well, it did last week. It went, but in 1 and 2 it falls off. Mac to man. Like I almost fenced it the 1 lap, and then 2 laps later he did. And then I think Glenn almost hit that as
Mhm.
well. It's definitely a sucker spot right now, and the way the cushion blows away there, it's definitely easy to miss it. But yeah, Nick Sheridan led early through some sliders with Corey Turner. Just when the track's like that with slick in the middle, bite on the bottom, cushion, best conditions ever for sprint cars because you can throw sliders, you can run the top, you can run the bottom. 1 and 2 is a little bit better on the bottom. That's where Josh was running. Then he was kind of running top slash sometimes slider line in 3 and 4. But Mitch Brown had the bottom rolling. He got to second, past Nicky on the last lap or 2 to go, something like that, coming out of 4. And Mitch is good in those conditions as well. Definitely good at rolling the bottom. That's definitely Mitch's thing, and he's probably the best at it out there. And then yeah, Nicky finished third. Good job to Nick. He was wailing the cushion both ends, and it was costing him probably in 1 and 2 and helping him in 3 and 4. But said he was running out of gas a little bit at the end, so that's maybe why Mitch got him a little bit too. And who was the rest of the top 5? Jake Brown fifth, good for him. I think that was his best.
It was Hanson, Mitch Brown, Nick Sheridan, Jim Hoopin and brought it home fourth, and Jake Brown
Yeah,
fifth.
so that was those 2 guys were hanging around with me around the 9th, 10th area a lot of times this year as well. So good to see them in the top 5, and yeah, hope to join them up there soon.
Yep. And another former guest of ours, picking up yet another win, Darren Dryden in the 12DD, my Mohawk College alumni friend who, it was funny. So we had him on the show and he was telling us about the graphics company and his racing career. And the next day on my Facebook feed, I get a little post from the Mohawk Alumni Association. And there's old Darren Dryden in the 12DD sprint car up on my feed, being honored by both of our former colleges. So that was pretty cool. Good to see Darren pick up another win. Brett Stratford brought it home second, Steve Murdoch third, Lucas Smith fourth, and Eric Gledhill rounded out the top five over there.
It's funny you say that you saw that after because I saw that ad at least for like a week and a half before we had Darren on. So like your computer recognized you were contacting him now and totally sent you that message. See, Big Brother's watching a little. Buggers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and exactly. What now we need to figure out how to make that
Yeah,
happen with the
exactly.
podcast, right? And everybody who listens and needs to maybe they need to just share it to their feeds. If we get everybody who listens to share to their Facebook feeds, and then maybe a couple other people click on it, a couple other people find it on Spotify or Apple, and then all of a sudden, bam, we go from 150, listens an episode to like 200, 500, 1,000. Who knows? The sky is the limit. But I think we're definitely going to need to encourage people to start sharing, and maybe we'll start launching some merch or some contests. Lots of things coming down the pipeline, and lots of things coming down the pipeline of the Thunderstocks, and for our winner, Dave Bailey from Friday night at Ohsweken. I mean, started 19th, won it
Oh,
again. Beagle, who's going to be our guest this week, finished second. Mark Fawcett third. Trevor DeBoer fourth, and Christopher Hale rounds out your top five over there. But Bailey's going to have a pretty interesting ride. I think we'll tee that up a little bit later in the show. But Dave Bailey,
hmm.
NASCAR driver, basically going to be driving in the Pinty series at Ohsweken and coming off a win. I'm sure he's feeling pretty confident going into Monday and
Yeah.
Tuesday.
We kind of got a lot of off topic in the crate, so I just want to give a shout out to Brett Stratford too. He went like 10th to second. I can't forget Brett, and yeah, he's my buddy, and he did an awesome job, and that win's coming for
Yes.
him. And yeah, I told him there was a bunch of bite on the bottom before he went out, and he used it and passed 8 cars. So good to see him go forward and get that second spot. He's finally got his podium interview. Got robbed of it last time he finished third. So props to Brett. But then yeah, back to the street stocks. Uh,
Yep.
watch that. I can't believe how good those guys race, like Beagle and Bailey. And the track was a little heavier, like I said this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I said last week that it's the slick track that makes them good. And now they proved me wrong. They can hammer down and come from 21st and stuff, where they have to start in that crazy handicap that they do in that class, like we talk about all the time. And what a pleasure to watch those guys come through the field like that. Good lord.
It's fantastic. Like, if you haven't watched a street stock or a Hoosier stock, or maybe that's the time of the night that you pick to go and get your popcorn or whatever, you need to sit your butt back in the seat and actually watch those, or go back even on GeForce TV and rewatch some of these races, because they have been fantastic no matter who's going to victory lane. The amount of passing. There's been times at Merrittville where I'm calling a race and I can't tell the difference between calling this or calling like Talladega, because I'm getting like pack racing two by two by two, or three by three even at points. Like, it's been fantastic. This class has put on such a great amount of racing throughout the year, and it's not, I don't want to say it's coming to an end, because we still got lots of weeks left of racing, but you got to take some time to appreciate the Thunderstocks. Um, Something else you got to take some time to appreciate. Somebody beat Tyler LaFontaine in a mini stock. Rodney Rutherford gets it done on Friday night, wins it over Tyler LaFontaine, Wade Thorne, Nick Erskine, and Dusty DeBoer brings it home fifth. LaFontaine has been a bad man in that 96 T car, winning pretty much every race he enters, but Rodney got his number on Friday night.
Yeah. He also won the spectator one-on-one at Humberstone for another $500 a couple weeks ago. And then they always
Mm-hmm.
tell me their first name, and then I'm like, in Victory Lane, find out they're a true ringer, except for Smokey Robinson. I saw him right away. I think he won the Saturday a couple weeks ago. But yeah, Rodney is a ringer in those kind of cars. Wouldn't shock me if he wins the Enduro at Flamborough for 50,000, because he's an Enduro ringer as well. Kind of like Glenn Hill's super into that Enduro stuff and picks up lots of wins. And I asked him in Victory Lane about the 50. That's nuts, 50,000 to win Enduro at Flamborough. I know it's a dirt show, but that's insane. Wouldn't shock me if Rodney wins that. And honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, when I raced at Ohsweken, I honestly didn't even know he's running a mini stock at Ohsweken. So awesome to see him beat that 96. And his car looks awesome. Nice little 24. Cool doors on it. I like it.
Yeah, it was good to see. Good to see somebody get Tyler's number, but I like a little bit of parody every once in a while, but I can still appreciate what Tyler's doing, because it's just that whole TMR
Oh, for sure.
team, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Professionals. And like I say, Rodney Rutherford, he's definitely a professional in those kind of cars as well, like I said, and no shock to see him finally get one. Drove a great race.
No shock to see on Saturday night that Matt Williamson picks up another win in the Core Pack Merchandising 358 Modifieds at Merrittville Speedway, winning it over Ryan Susie, Gary Lindbergh, Brad Rouse, and Chad Chevalier. Talk about the cream rising to the top. I think that was my call on the broadcast. If you go back and watch on G-Force, and I mean it. I mean, heavy hitters throughout the top 10. Shane Pearson, 6th, Fred Carlton, 7th, Luke Carlton, 8th, Pete Bignell ended up 9th, Scott Wood, 10th. Like, that top 10 is a murderous row. Outside the top 10, Mike Bowman, like, the 358 modifieds,
Hmm.
you cannot complain about the quality of competition in this class this year. It's been unbelievable, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been like that forever in the modified classes around here. Even at Ranceville, they're only getting 14 cars, but they're all awesome cars. That's the whole thing. Merrittville, they're averaging like 20. Most of them can win on a good night, and like even Dave Flanagan Jr. If it wasn't for that caution, he might have picked it up. So that would have been a bit of an upset, even
Yeah,
though old Davey's been running really good this year in that 74 car. And but yeah,
yeah,
so that restart is what Matt went to school, like took the boys to school on a restart, right? And he definitely
yeah.
carries that. That's what I noticed about him. Like left front up, tons of bite in that thing. It's almost so tight, like he breaks it with the throttle to get it to turn. Like you can see the car jump a little bit, and that's why he's so hooked up coming off and got lots of forward drive in that thing. So definitely other drivers notice that if you're watching his replays. He's definitely got her super tight and turning it with the gas.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about Matty that I appreciate most is that he always finds his way to the right spots at the end, right? It's not like I'm sure there's probably been a race this year that's not coming to mind right now that he's probably dominated flag to flag. But at least, between the 71 lapper, obviously, a couple of weeks ago for the Grand Nationals, for this week at just their weekly racing, the last couple of wins that I've seen Matty have, he just peaks at the right time. It's not like he takes the lead with 20 to go or 40 to go or whatever the amount of laps is left. He's like right there with 5, 6, 7 to go, puts himself in the position. He either gets the late caution, gets the break he needs, or just goes out there and takes it. Because it's one thing to get the lucky break of a caution, but the other thing is what you do with that restart. And Matty just always knows how to get it done. So it's pretty impressive what he can do in a modified for sure around here.
Yeah, I'd like to see Maddie's race count for the year, like because he's been racing since February, so that always helps out too. He's definitely in mid-season form around here. Did he win Friday? I think he.
According to
Yeah.
my race pass, I've, I've got your
Oh
numbers
yeah.
here. Do you want to hear them? All right. So according to my race pass, he has run 43 events. He has 15 wins, 30 top fives, 36 top tens through the 2022 year so far. And I'm not even sure if that counts all of his like super dirt stuff. I think it
I
does
think Dougie
actually.
runs that, so
I
yeah,
feel like there
Dougie
might
runs that,
be.
so it's got to count that.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that's on there. So yeah, right. Maybe the short track.
Might
Yeah, maybe the short track stuff I think might not be counted
I
on
could see
that
that.
either.
But yeah, awesome numbers for Matt.
Yeah, not 100%
He
sure.
only has the one win on the road. I'm sure that bugs him a little bit. Still hanging around top three in the Super Dirt Car Series points, but I know I've heard him say in interviews that he's struggling a little bit. It's awesome. Weird to hear a guy 15 wins say he's struggling, but he always kicks her up in September. I'm sure he'll do it again when the big money's on the line. So he's called Money Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, he's already collecting a lot of dough around these parts as of late. So, somebody else who is collecting a lot of dough, in particular on a Saturday night, this guy had himself a huge night. Cody McPherson. All the past guests having great runs. Cody wins not only the sportsman feature for the Canadian Grand Nationals that was belated to Saturday's event, but also wraps up the Bill Willard Sr. Sterling Cup. Bill Willard Sr. Sterling Silver Cup. I always mess it up. There's too many S's there. But yeah, that was a huge one, obviously, for Cody to win for family reasons. Obviously, the Willard name on the side of the race card. His Aunt Tammy does so much for him to race, which he's gone out and said as much of. both on the podcast, on record, or even in interviews in Victory Lane. So Cody McPherson having himself quite a year in a
Yeah,
sportsman.
no doubt. Definitely an awesome racing family. And the funniest thing, just rewatched it and the Victory Lane stuff when he said he forgot to say happy birthday to his wife the next day. And then you said, well, good thing you won again. That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. But no shot to see him win both. And yeah, there's a little bit of a, we could almost call it controversy online if you saw it this week between Panunte and McPherson. I hate bringing up stuff like that.
I want to
I hate
ask you
bringing
about
stuff up
this.
like that,
So
but we can't not talk
I
about
know
it.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. Like we have a show for this very
Yeah,
reason. We have to talk about the controversies. I have not gone back and watched the full replay yet myself, so I
I
haven't
have.
seen the camera angles. I only saw what I saw in the booth. I will
Have
walk
you
you
seen,
through what
because
I
there's in
saw
cars too.
from. That was the other thing too. Was
Like we got to, Panunte posted in cars. Yeah, you got to start following some of these teams, bro. Yeah, Panunte posted in cars and it kind of made it look like Cody messed him up, right?
yeah.
But then,
So I yes, that's
yeah.
what I heard because I've been like in and out of Facebook for most of the week. I'm the worst social media person at the same time. Some days I'm like, if it's not on Twitter, I don't usually see
Oh,
it. That's my go-to. But I can obviously I spend more time on Facebook. Um, but I wanted to ask you. So we saw how intact from your vantage point was Greg's steering before the contact, and the other thing I wanted to ask was in the onboard, does he clip the inside barrier coming out of 3 and 4 before that incident in 1 and 2, or was it just a bobble? Because from my vantage point, the way Greg took off from the booth, it literally looked like he clipped the 3 and 4 inside barrier, and I thought that's what caused the whole thing was that there was front end damage from hitting the inside, him hitting the inside of 3 and 4 so hard. But again, if you've got the in-car vantage point, did it show off of 3 and 4?
no, the in car cut off going down the back straightaway. But then what Cody posted today, he posted the G-force thing and it shows Greg what you hitting what you saw. And that's, in my opinion, what broke the Pittman arm. I don't want to make anybody mad or anything, but when that, right?
Yes.
Because his wheels were turned to the left, and I've hit that wall God knows how many times, probably 500 times in my life. So I know how to hit that wall. I can assure you of that. I am a professional at hitting that wall. So, so he had the wheels turned a little bit, just got on the gas a little bit too early, and he caught the left front pretty hard with the wheels cranked left. So what happened there when he hit that wall, because the wheels were already cranked, so it had almost the full face of the left front for the wall to hit, and it smashed it really hard, and it stripped the aluminum pitman arm, which hooks to the steering box and like you works the whole front end. And then when they show the wreck video, because they posted the two videos, like the initial contact and then all the hits from which the G-force didn't catch, which kind of stinks a little bit there, but no big deal. But I was just hoping to see like the view from the tower, but they didn't get it. But the in car, you can clearly see like he goes into one and the steering's still working a bit. You see the front tires move and he's putting steering put input, but then when he gets to about just past a quarter of the way through the corner, that's when you can see him putting steering input into it. And there's no front wheel action. Like you can just see the front wheels going straight and he starts to panic, kind of exactly what happened with
Yep.
me earlier in the year with the Holly Porter thing. And yeah, so then the Pitman arm
Mm-hmm.
finally does fully strip, and then you see the wheels lock left, and then that's when all hell broke loose. JMF smashed them. Like the sounds it make is just the most disgusting sounds. Ugh, it gave me the creeps because like it's like, and
Yeah.
then one other, I think it was Trevor Wright. One other one clipped
Yeah.
him, and that one wasn't that big. Like I think Trevor still got back out. It wasn't as big of a sound, but like the JMF hit was such a daunting blow. And I saw that car at BRP this week, and it had the rear end tore out of it, right rear uh, axle two completely sheared off the right rear trailing arm mount, whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, that car was definitely rough hit. Like he hit it just in the worst spot with the right rear, and yeah. So
Oh
then,
yeah.
but then Chris Hawkins comes in and like completely doors on doors, and the sound that one make was just as gross as the first one, if not grosser. And that's the one that did most of the damage to Greg's car. Like the JMF one probably just messed up the front axle a little bit, and but man, Hawkins hit him a ton. what a sound. Glad Greg's okay, both of
Yeah.
them, everybody.
So yeah, that's always the most important thing when you see something like that, is that everybody got out okay, and it was, um, you know, things can be repaired, but bodies, obviously, it's a little bit harder to repair some of that stuff. So that was most important, I think, in my opinion, was that everybody got out okay and was. I know Greg wasn't happy, but with all that to say, I don't think it was Cody's fault. It was just kind of one of them racing deals.
Yeah, and
Would that be the right summation in your opinion?
yep, definitely. I'm guilty of it for getting mad a little bit, maybe as well, when some maybe it was a racing deal happens.
Yeah,
But
for sure. And of
yeah,
course, it's always hard when you're racing for the
yeah, that's
win
the main
too, right?
thing.
Like it's one thing if that you get torn up, running 20th or whatever, but you get torn up running for a win, and then you see the guy who you think tore you up go on to win. It's gonna cause some issues. But yeah, sportsman drama for
Mm,
sure. But glad we were able to uncap that, and I'm really really happy that from where I was calling it in the booth that I got it right for the most part. But I'll be going back and checking out those replays. Um, I also want to go back and check out how Mark Fawcett made the outside work in the Hoosier stocks. That did you watch that
yeah,
feature then? Eh?
hold on. We did it again. We went with the controversy, and we didn't give a shit out
Oh,
to old our boy Jordan Costco in second spot. Jordan's my buddy at work, and
well, of course,
yeah,
yes.
just give us the
Got
sportsman
to run
top
through the
five
top
clip before we
fives. You're
move to
right.
the street stocks.
Okay, well, I've got Grand National Night. I'll have to open that one in a second. But the second of the two features that was held on
Yeah,
Saturday night, Cody McPherson, Jordan Costco, give a call to Nelson Mason, driving through him up from 12th to third. He had a lot of speed in both races. Got caught up in some incidents in the first one. Brought it home third though. Jay Mallory brought it home fourth, and Daryl Fairway in the second of the two sportsmen got it done, bringing it home in fifth position. And just quickly, let me go back to that Grand National feature, because technically that is, even though it
yeah, that's what we
occurred
moved
on the
before.
6th, um, if you go to the first, yeah, if you go to the first, that's where you're going to find the results on the Merrittville Speedway website, which Cody McPherson won over JMF, Greg Panunte, Rob Knapp, and Billy Bleach Jr. rounded out the top five over in that one.
Yeah, Billy Bleach, good run for him. But yeah, mainly just wanted to. Yeah, we almost forgot there was two features. Eh, we almost did. But
Yeah, well, it's hard, right?
yeah,
Well, it was hard when there's two different winners or two of the same winners, right? You want to just focus on the one, but um,
yeah, Costco
yeah,
second.
it was a good night for the sportsmen. They put on
And
some
the one thing I
racing.
noticed when I was watching the second feature is like lap. I don't know, there was like 12, 13 to go or something, and he was like 11th, 10th, and then made the run through the field. So
Yeah,
got helped with a little bit, couple cautions.
well,
Sucks that there was a little bit of a wreck fest. Yeah,
started out back, right? He
yeah.
started 14th.
What a move through the field. Like I say, work with him. Definitely a cool kid.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he drives his grandpa's truck, which is so cool to see out front every day at BRP. If it's not his grandpa's, it's identical
Mhm.
to the one his grandpa used to. I'm pretty sure I forgot to ask him about that. I want to. I'm gonna ask him about that. But yeah, cool to see Pete's truck out front. I'm pretty sure it's it. Cool to see Jordan run second. Because yeah, he was planning on running Humberstone the whole year, and then he had to switch to Merrittville. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely got her.
Yeah, and shout out to the 17C crew for they always tune in on Teardown Day on Sunday, cleaning up the race car. They're tuned into Hits FM, listening to me, and they usually send me a text. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that, and I appreciate the 17C boys getting it done. So congrats, Jordan, and hopefully we'll see him in victory lane pretty soon. But it's gonna be tough to knock off Cody, man. Cody McPherson is on an absolute heater right now.
Yep, no doubt. Cody's the man, and he keeps mentioning Aunt Tammy. The one thing I wish is like I started coming to Merrittville like just as Aunt Tammy started to not race. I wish I could have start like because she was such a badass behind the wheel as well. If she didn't win a championship, she was either 1 point behind it. I think she might have won one, but like tons of race wins in the Sportsman 77 Junior at wheel woman extraordinaire. If you ask me, and it's bummed that I didn't get to see her race once, and that
Yeah.
always has bugged me.
There's like so many right like that, right? That you can go through history where you're like, at some point I would have liked to
Mm-hmm.
see them. But
Yep.
and so mini stock or Hoosier stock, I gotta say. I was so impressed with Mark Fawcett's run. That track at that point in the night really seemed to be kind of, I don't want to say one lane racetrack because we really haven't seen a true one lane race from Merrittville all year long. The track crew and track prep, I'm not trying to just blow smoke because I work there, but honestly, the racing has been fantastic at Merrittville, and the track prep has been, from my seat, my vantage point, just unparalleled all year long. Mark Fawcett was able to use the outside line to actually get by Rob Murray. One of the only Hoosier stock drivers who was, maybe I think Donnie Lampman was using the extreme top side and he got a couple spots, but everybody who ventured up there usually just fed right back down to the bottom, except for Fawcett. He was able to use that middle groove, get around the outside of Murray, and get it done for, I believe that was his second feature of the win, second feature win of the year in 2022 at Merrittville.
Yeah, and he also, I think he finished third Friday night. I know he got an interview spot anyway. And yeah, so he's definitely no stranger to running fast, and that's what you got to do, get by Rob Murray. Yeah, you definitely ain't gonna get under him. So you got to get around him, and if your car can stick the middle like that, that's definitely what you want. And because that's even shorter way around than the top, but a little bit more momentum than the bottom. And that Matt runs the
Yeah,
middle real good as well. That's how he took the lead on the
yeah,
restart. But yeah, cool to see Fawcett pick up the win again. This car looks cool.
yep.
What
Rob
was the
Murray
rest
brought
of?
it home second, Dave Bailey third.
Yep, usual suspects there. Who else?
Yeah, Zach Bleach fourth, Jason Fontaine fifth. Fonzie, I can feel it. He's gonna put one together fully, completely one of these days before the season's out. That car is bad fast. He just, for whatever reason, it's like it either goes away on him in the beginning of a race, maybe just one bad restart where it just gets away from him. But I feel like Fonz is gonna get one before we're all said and done here.
Yep, definitely. Runs well at Humberstone as well. That's his home track. Runs well, Maryville's home, but like Humberstone is just up the road for him. But yeah, just such a tough division. They're all tough. Like I say all year, no matter what division you're in, all it's just hard to win. And Fonz is no stranger to victory lane. Just hasn't got there this year. But wouldn't surprise anybody if he does get her done. Same with Zach Bleach. That his first win's coming.
And it's only getting tougher to win. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly, right.
Billy's.
It's only getting tougher to win in
Yeah,
the odd lights, uh, Brett Bigelow and Josh Slider. I mean, we've known that Bigelow's been good all year long, but Slider's car really looks dialed in now. Like he's really got that thing put together, and so not a surprise to see those two as the class of the field. Brent picks up another win in the mod lights. But I wanted to give a shout out to third place. I feel like this has to be his best finish of his career, maybe, that I've seen so far. Ryan Anderson brings it home third in the 44 in a very respectable run. Started second, brought it home third, put together a full race, and really was able to hang with the big boys. If Toddy third or fourth and Rob Meiser fifth.
yeah. Anderson was the one I wanted to talk about. He was the one I noticed having a really awesome run when I just watched the replay. And with Josh, I think he's just got tired of me bugging him about not running quite as good and probably just stopped experimenting. So that probably explains the consistency in the old slider ride. But Ryan Anderson is Josh's cousin, and that car is prepared at their place, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, Ryan's finally getting her done. I've seen a lot of guys, like even Josh when he first
Yeah,
started. Like I can remember when he was at the back and couldn't keep up, and finally picked up his first win. And then it seemed like after he got his first one, took him like he just kept on winning nonstop till you were sick of watching him win. I even would tell him that, and that's getting that way with Brent now, getting sick of watching him win. And sure, he's loves making me sick of watching him win as well. But yeah, Ryan Anderson, awesome run, and I don't know how old he's got to be pretty young. I can remember him in go karts not that long ago, and it like wasn't senior go karts; it was the junior class. So pretty sure he's pretty young, little young shoe. And yeah, he was the one I want to talk about. There, same as Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger's gonna get one too one of these days.
yeah, Cheeseburger's been running real good lately. I really like what Sean If Toddy's been able to do in the mod lights as of lately. He's putting together some really quiet, sneaky good runs, consistent runs each week in and out. So it's really good for Cheeseburger too. Um, and before we move on to what's coming up this weekend and this week, let's get to the Van Sickle Paveo PB on the lane 4 cylinders. Tyler Lafonzi, no surprise there, brings home yet another win. Austin Worstro, another uh, quality second place run. Trevor DeBoer third. Jeremy Hughes fourth. And Vincent Pagnotta fifth. Give a call to Jeremy Hughes. Started 15th, brought it home fourth. Made the trek out of Burlington to race with us. So that 10J was looking pretty good. And I believe I even had some new graphics on that one as well.
Yeah, old Jeremy Hughes, he's another guy that's just one of those wizards with those little four-cylinder cars, and his dad as well was another big enduro guy back in the day. I'm pretty sure they had an enduro memorial a few times at Flamborough. I know they have a Jay Hughes memorial. That was Jeremy's dad, and he was an awesome racer back in the day as well. And yeah, Jeremy, I'm pretty sure is an Ohsweken champ, so no stranger to the mini stocks. But good to see him getting run good at Merrittville. And Worstro, I saw he posted that he had engine trouble on Monday or something, but one of his sponsors, auto parts store, sorry, I forgot which one, but 280,000 kilometer engine they put in and wheeled her up to second.
That's awesome. Quality weekend of racing and a very quality weekend of racing coming up. Of course, regular Friday show at Ohsweken. Are you guys running sprints this weekend? On top of, I was going to say that you must be giving.
Sportsman replacing
That's what
us.
I figured, right? Because you guys have Sprint Car Nationals on Monday.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say right now, back in the day, we used to run the Friday and then the Monday, Tuesday as well. And then it would be, if you ran good, you'd be making a lot of money. You'd be redneck rich those 3 days after that. Those good times. But yeah, we got Friday off.
Yeah, until you
Huh?
tear something up and then it's costing you
Oh,
money
that
to
can happen
go and
too.
run the extra
That
night.
can happen too. No doubt about it.
And so I just logged on to our Twitter feed over on Twitter. You can find us at uh, just search Southern Ontario Dirt Show or at sods underscore pod, SODS underscore pod. And the first thing I'm seeing is a whole bunch of tweets from Ohsweken Speedway, not just about the Sprint Car Nationals, but the NASCAR Pinty Series heading out, racing on dirt, and I can't wait for this one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty hyped up for it. I know you're not as big on the Pinty Series as I am. That's fair. That's fine. I get it. Uh, and I think there's a lot of dirt purists who are probably don't know what to expect with this one. I think it's going to go over better than when NASCAR tried it at Bristol, but at least in terms of fan reaction, we'll see what the racing is like. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. What are you expecting from the Pinty's 100 in a couple of days?
Oh no. Well, I am a bit of a critic on the Pinty series, I will admit it. And but I do watch every single race. I watch every race on Flow, no matter what. If I miss one, I'll go back and watch it. Try not to see the results and all that stuff. So I have a right to be critical if I watch them all, right? In my opinion, a little bit. But like I hate like a lot of people call it exciting, but when they wreck each other at the end, like ugh. I just hope that doesn't happen for Ohsweken for the 25,000 where someone completely cleans a guy out on purpose, which I've seen so many times in that series. And like I just hate that stuff. It drives me nuts. Like like move the guy up the track a little bit, but don't send him around. Like what happened on the weekend? Did you see that with the two brothers taking each other out? Where the guy, what was that? Like sure it's exciting, but also pretty sad. I didn't like it.
So I have a buddy who I met through one of our online NASCAR groups, and we actually got to hang out, watch the Pinty's race together in Toronto when they were back there a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Conrad, and he was messaging me. He's like, "Dude, did you just see what happened in the Pinty series?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." He's like, "Well, Cameron just became public enemy number one because he wrecked." Uh, Not just one, but somehow two Dumoulin brothers, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if you can fully blame that on Cameron, but that was definitely the end of the race. Everybody going for broke, and uh, just a brutal
Yeah.
loss for the Dumoulins. Like, oh, that was a real heartbreaker for them.
Yeah. And in my opinion, like Dumoulin was coming, or whoever it was, JF, the 04 car, was coming across the track trying to get back at Cameron because he spun him out and missed and hit his brother. That's the main issue. Like, oof, that was going to be an interesting Thanksgiving conversation there. But back to the coming to Ohsweken, I think they're going to be able to. What I heard from the test last night is they were able to run the top really well, and like the bottom, they're going to have to work on their setups a little bit because A lot of guys, when they tried to go down to the bottom, the cars just weren't liking it, and I was unloading the right rear, and they were having trouble in spinning out. But they got a whole week to go back to the shops and try to dial some a little bit more bite in on the bottom. But yeah, one thing, yeah,
Which kind of makes sense because
yeah,
I was gonna say because haven't the when you go back and watch like the truck series at Eldora and at Knoxville, I feel like a lot of the trucks ended up driving around the top side of the racetrack for most of the runs. Like I felt like it was rarer to be able to run the bottom in the truck series when they're on dirt. So I feel like it's kind of makes sense that the Pinty series might react the same
yeah.
way.
I think you're right there. I honestly hope the Cup still goes back to Eldor or something. I hate that they, I don't want to say ruin Bristol, but Bristol's one of the best Cup races of the year, especially now that there's banking. Like I love the new Bristol more than the old Bristol, in my opinion, because the old Bristol was just follow each other around the bottom and smash each other out of the way, which I just clearly said I freaking hate. So like the new Bristol, you can literally run top, bottom, and just race their asses off. And then now they cover it with dirt and kind of ruin it a little bit. So I hope they go back to Eldora. I'm not saying I don't like them on dirt. I'm just saying I wish they would go to in my opinion, go to a real dirt track, which Eldora is perfect. P.S. And yeah,
And
and like you say,
I was gonna say I think with that the other thing they've proved.
yeah,
The other thing they proved is you don't need to do it at Bristol because you can just pick any football stadium in America and build a short track on it, and then what the heck, you may as well cover out some dirt while you're there.
yeah, they could do that too. But I would like to see it stay at a real dirt track. And Eldora would be mint. But
I
back to that Pinty thing.
I agree.
If I had to pick a winner, I would be going with
Yep.
Dave Bailey. I do old Randy Slack
Oh,
owned, Bobby Slack tuned. I know Bobby's been working on that thing pretty hard, and I don't like they would hate to see that upset. I think they definitely want one of their guys to be winning, if you ask me. But Seabell, he could be tough too. Stewie in a Steckley prepared car. Those guys don't mess around. So could also be the Stu Friesen show. And you want to give them the whole list that they got right now?
that's
Yeah,
kind of what I'm
I
expecting.
can. That is
I've got the roster.
yeah.
I've got a potential roster in front of me, right? So, I'm not willing to count out Mr. Ohsweken himself, Glenn Stires. I I think he's had this one circled on the calendar. I think he's been waiting for it. I don't know what I don't know what to fully expect,
Hmm.
but I feel like this is probably going to go into the hands of the dirt racers. So Stires would be on my list. Kenny Schrader driving the three. I got a lot of faith in Kenny having a good run. I don't. You never know. I mean, this is a bit more. It's not a center steer stock car like he called the modifieds when he was up
Oh, this
here,
is
right?
something he's
So
used to.
I got some faith in Kenny.
Like Kenny's run a
Exactly,
ton
right.
of
So
like ARCA
uh,
races on dirt. And he never missed one. Even back when he was running Cup, he would always run both those dirt miles and all the ARCA races on dirt. So wouldn't shock me to see Schrader in victory lane. Stires would shock me to see him in victory lane, but it wouldn't shock me to see him have his best NASCAR Pinty's finish. You know what I mean? Because he has been
yeah,
struggling a little.
yep.
So definitely wouldn't shock me to see him in the top 10. But yeah, I could definitely see the Stu Friesen
So
show.
here's my question about.
Yep, your question.
Well, speaking of
Yeah,
Stewie, this is my
yep,
question
yep.
about Stewie. How do you handicap it? Would you give Stewie a better chance to win in a sprint car against you guys because he's going to be driving one of those, or do you give him the edge in the Pinty series? Where do you think Stuart Frazen has his best run?
He could easily win both, but I'm going to give him the edge in the Pinty series. Although he'll be driving the car that won the Sprint Car Nationals early in the year.
I tend to
So
agree with you.
there's that as well. But he hasn't driven a sprint car in a while. He's been driving NASCAR Cup cars on dirt for the last few seasons. So it's just going to be that little bit of rust in the sprint car that could keep him out of victory lane. And like we ain't rusty at Ohsweken. I might be a little bit, but the boys up front ain't rusty. And yeah, there'll be some invaders coming in. Don't like Seabell. He's going to be the one to beat in the sprints, if you ask me, because he's up to snuff, been running the Swindell car. And yeah, Seabell's going to be the one to watch for the sprints, and then Stewie's going to be the one to watch for the Pinties. Although Stewie could easily win sprints too.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. And speaking of can't wait, somebody that we were kind of maybe thinking we might see in a Pinty's car. Um, actually, before we get to Ryan Beagle, our interview of the night, I just wanted to bring up.
We might not see him, but he deserves
Yeah,
it.
absolutely right. I feel like he's one of those guys. Another guy that it just makes sense to see him in it. But I've got my camping passes sorted out. I'm going to be at the Sprint Car Nationals. I'm going to be there for the Pinty's race as well. I'll be up in the stands. I'm going to be hanging out with people. The real reason I pulled up our Twitter account is because some of our friends, maybe internet friends, we'll call them for now until we get to meet up with them in person at Ohsweken. But the Stickers and Scuffs podcast, uh, I believe they're going to be hosting a little tweet up, or I think we're going to be getting together at least for a tweet up, Bob Pocker style. So we're going to share that information up on our timeline. Olivia, I'm going to totally botch her last name because it's the first time I'm saying it, but Whistle, her dad, I believe, used to be a Pinty's driver. But Olivia races ice road racing out in Alberta, and she also works for the with the Stickers and Stuff podcast. She put the tweet out today. There's going to be a NASCAR Pinty's tweet up on Tuesday. We aren't sure the time yet and exact location at Ohsweken, so stay tuned for that if you want to come say hi to me. Hopefully, it's going to be at an hour where Travis, you can come out as well, and you're not busy doing race car stuff. And yeah, hopefully we can meet some podcast fans and make some new friends across other podcasts.
As long as it's not when the races start, I should be able to squeak away. I've got my crew dialed in. Love my crew. Willie, Aaron, BJ, or no, sorry, Willie, Aaron, Stevie, Tony, Billy. They've got me dialed in, so I should be able to squeak away as long as it's not when the races started, which I'm sure it's not going to be. And yeah, that'll be fun to do a little tweet up.
Yeah. So all those details coming up. So if you're looking for any of that over on the Twitter feed, on the Instagram, I'm going to be very active on that over my time over at Ohsweken next week. SODS_pod is where you find us on Instagram and on Twitter. And of course, you can like the Facebook page at Southern Ontario Dirt Show.
Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Want to support the Southern Ontario Dirt Show and help us expand our coverage across the province and Western New York? Well, your ad could be playing right here. Got a brand or business that deserves more attention? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com to become a sponsor of the podcast. And now, let's get back to the show.
And we are back on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show with Hoosier stock driver, Thunder stock driver, street stock driver, whatever you want to call it. You can call this guy a front runner in the series. It's Ryan Beagle. How are you doing tonight, Ryan?
I'm all right. Glad you guys had me on. I didn't think you guys would have track packer drivers on, but I'm glad you chose me.
Track packer drivers, that's a bit much. You guys have been the best show at Ohsweken, if you ask me.
I guess me and Dave been having a good few weeks there, battling back and forth, but it's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about those battles because I think when a lot of people think Hoosier stocks or they think about the street stock division right now, the first thing they're thinking about is Dave Bailey. He's been on a roll over the last couple seasons, but you're right there lockstep with him. If he slips up, you're there usually to capitalize on a win. I know we've seen a couple other guys like Mark Fossack come through, but just talk to us about the level of competition and what it takes to be a front runner in the street stock program.
Yeah, I don't know. It just takes years to get up there. Really, like I've been at it 10 years now, and I don't know. It just you work at it every week. You try something, you get a little better every week, and I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to try to get up there. That's for sure.
All right, Ryan, let's talk about your line. Like, you like to run the high side a lot. If it wasn't for that caution, I think you would have had last Friday. So talk about running the high side and how, like, the different track, like when the week you won, it was a lot more slick, and last week had a little more bite. So, like, talk about running the high side and the little bit different track conditions you encountered the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I'm up there, to be honest with you. I'm usually a bottom feeder, but I've kind of figured it out this year a little bit, and I'm enjoying myself up there. I coming out of four, like a couple weeks ago, I was kind of running down the hill, but the last 2 weeks I've been trying to keep it up, I guess, on the cushion and get a good run down the front straightaway. Seems to be working pretty good.
I just always wonder what it's like for the Hoosier stocks. Um, do you guys have this sense that because you guys have fenders on your cars, you guys can lean on each other? Are you guys willing to take a little bit more of a liberal approach to maybe tight racing in a corner? I feel like there's this false sense of security that comes with running in a street stock.
Well, to be honest, I don't like leaning on anybody because tires are expensive, and I don't like bending tie rods and bending spindles and stuff. So I try to stay off guys as much as I can. But no, for sure you can lean on a guy if you have to. But and there's quite a few guys that do. But it's not something I like doing.
I love that you said that because that's what I want to talk about your battles with Dave. And pretty sure I heard Dave say that you guys are chicken wing buddies in the winter and sometimes is so talking about battling with the best, Dave Bailey in the old street stock division, especially out of Ohsweken, and being like a younger up and comer like you are. You're not an up and comer anymore, but you were. But just talk about battling with Dave and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I said in my interview a few weeks ago. It's kind of surreal. Like I grew up watching Dave race mini stock and Thunder cars, and it's kind of neat, really. We have been to Dingers in Hagersville. We went to Dingers a couple times in the spring there.
Yeah.
I enjoy good chicken wings, so I'll travel a little bit for a chicken wing, but no, it's a neat experience. Dave's been, like you guys have said, Dave's been dominating the division for basically the past 5 or 6 years. So it's fun to be running up there with him.
In terms of street stock, how much do you guys have to change your cars between the tracks you visit? Obviously, going to a little Humberstone a little bit less often than maybe you guys were expecting this year, but between Ohsweken, Merrittville, Humberstone, do you guys have to do a lot of changes to the race cars to get ready for each individual track, or can you kind of get away with one blank setup?
For what we do, it's mostly just gear change. Like I I don't run enough at Merrittville and Humberstone. Well, I guess I did during COVID, but I don't run enough to to adjust the car to the track. So I just kind of keep doing what I do at Ohsweken, and it seems to work okay everywhere else. So I'm at now. If I was running there weekly, I imagine I could dial something in a little better, but it there isn't a whole lot we change now.
So talk about your wins on the year. You got two at Ohsweken, if I'm not wrong. And do you have one at Merrittville?
Not this year. We got one last year, and we got one at Merrittville in 2018. I haven't won at Humberstone yet. Me and that place don't get along very often, but it's definitely a fun track.
Yeah, it's a tricky track. It seems like for a lot of the Hoosier stock guys, the street stock guys. I can't. But there's three different ways to call it. I can't. Travis, I'm never going to be able to pick one side. Uh, so when it comes to street stock racing and the level of competition we've talked about, but what do you think this series has that other series lack? Because in my experience calling the racing, the street stock class has been by far the most competitive division this year. And that's saying something because the modifieds and sportsmen are putting on a great thing. But the way you guys can pack up and have 10, 11, 12 cars under a blanket, especially at Maryville, that's what I've been seeing a lot. What is it about the street stock
And
and
Ohsweken.
Ohsweken? Yeah, you guys are packed up even there too. What is it about the street stocks that has you guys all so close together?
I don't know. I think like there's only so much you can do to the cars, right? They're basically they're a street car, and we're just trying to make them go in a circle. So we all got the same motor, we all got the same transmission, basically, and we're all running the same stuff. You can only spend so much money, so it all comes down to the driver. And there's quite a few good drivers in the division right now, and they're most of them are all we're all veterans at it, so it's usually pretty good, clean racing.
Now that we're on the topic of cars, I want to talk about your car. What is that? That's a Gen
It's a Gen,
3
yeah, 3.
Camaro. Gen 3 Camaro. It's more of a, like, everyone else runs the Gen 2s and do a lot. But you're one of the only guys that I've ever seen get the Gen 3 rocking real good. So tell us about your hot rod.
Yeah, they build them from 82 to 92, but it's a strut car. It's and the front ends they're kind of weak. They're made out of like they're not built as strong as a Monte Carlo or a Camaro. I call them paper mache. They're kind of like a Fox body Mustang, like a mini stock. And the back is more like a metric car. It's got coils and same. It's the same rear end gears and stuff as a metric. So it's kind of I call it a half breed. But we've been running this basically the same car for 12 years. So you get to know what they want and how to make them work.
Yeah, experience is definitely key. But so, like, what engine combo is in that thing? Are you running the 305 or are you running the crate?
No, I got a crate motor, and a power glide. We've thought about the
10-4.
305 because the price of crate motors is getting so high now, but I don't know what we'll do if we ever lose one of these motors, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
10-4.
And we talked about the car. What about your number? Where's the number 84 come from?
My father and me, we got a garage here in Victoria, and he started way before me in 1984. So that's where 84 comes from. And the RK is my name's Ryan, his name's
I
Kevin.
love
So
that.
Nice. A little bit of family history to it.
I like that because that leads perfectly into my next question. Why don't you give us like, yeah, family history as well. But like my next question, like give us like how'd you get the love for racing, and like give us your timeline in your life through racing.
um my father, he used to be into motor or dirt bikes and stuff. He used to run enduros, but he was never into oval racing or anything. Um, I I think I'd have been 8 or 9, and I watched. I think it was a 2002 Daytona 500 was on TV, and I was just flipping channels. And I watched it, and I just got interested in it. And then Dad made the bad decision to take me to Ohsweken that summer, and I don't think I missed a race. Or no, not. I probably missed about 10 since then, but we've been there just about every week. And then I think it was 2010. We spent about 2 years before that building a mini stock, and we ran 2 years of mini stock and moved up to the Thunder car, and we've been doing that ever since.
I love that. 2002 Daytona 500 winner Ward Burton.
Yeah, I watched Sterling Marlin's coach try to pull the fender out under
Yeah,
him twice.
exactly. That was a pretty famous one. I love it. That is so cool.
What do you mean? I was
Yeah.
just
So you never ran go karts or nothing?
No, I never. I rode the quad around the yard a lot when I was young. I tore up a transmission trying to short shift, but other than that, no, nothing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Sterling Marlin, Ward Burton, Ryan Beagle's inspiration,
Yeah,
Apparently.
and his dad running enduros.
Surprised you're
yeah,
not running a
Yeah.
cat colored card to the theme.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I was always a Jeff Gordon fan. I think he ran second that day.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, we'll
Johnny's a
get you
big
out of
Jeff
here.
Gordon guy.
We'll get you out of here on this one. So this is our classic question to kind of wrap up with everybody. But if I give you one car and one racetrack you get to run for the rest of your life, tell me what the combination is. Any car, any racetrack in the world.
I don't know. I've been thinking about this for 2 days since Travis messaged me, and this is gonna be kind of boring, but like pretty much anything at Ohsweken. I 2 years away from COVID, and then we went to testing tune there, and I realized how much I miss the damn place. It's just so wide and banked, and it's just I haven't been to a lot of tracks, but it just feels like home.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That works.
I totally agree, especially when it's prepped. I have one other question for him because I know Ryan's a big iRacer. So, yeah. So, like, does iRacing really help? Like, do you think the street stock in iRacing and in real life feels kind of similar? And just tell us about how I know, does that help you at all in the car? And what series do you run on the old iRacing?
The street stock on iRacing isn't even close. It's got a big 10-inch tire on it. I don't like it at all, but I'll say it does help me a lot. Like it just helps with I guess what do they call it, muscle memory. Like you don't get the seat of the pants feel, but just the movement of the steering wheel and your foot trying to pedal the car and stuff. But what I last winter a lot what I ran was I enjoyed running the big block modifieds on there. Actually, I think you guys talked about it a few weeks ago. That the BRP series. I
You're
run
in
with those
that?
guys. Yeah, I run. I think
Yeah.
they run. I run with those guys all winter the last 2 years. And then there's another league I run Thursday nights. I think I'm only on there a couple nights a week. I try to limit myself because you can waste a lot of time on there pretty quick.
No doubt. So I can't wait to bang door bars with you in the BRP series this winter. And
Yeah, that'll be fun.
yeah. So and then back to Johnny's question. Do you have any like hypothetical thing? Like, what's your favorite race car in the world other than a street stock?
I don't know. I like a small block or a big block modified, or a super late model. I enjoy watching them on Flow and Dirt Vision and stuff. But
What about
Love it.
I enjoy watching sprint cars too. I don't know. I don't.
what
Hmm?
about old Jesse Costa stirring
Johnny?
it up that maybe you should be driving in a Pinty's car on Tuesday night?
I'd love to see it.
I don't. I don't know if I deserve that or not. Like a guy like Dave, he's won more championships than I've got feature wins. So I don't know if I paid my dues enough for something like that.
The way you've been running this year at the top, and I heard
Well,
the cast cars are pretty top dominant, so I think you could handle it. But people forget when they start throwing stuff out like that, like renting a cast car ride's like close to 10 grand. So yeah, so people got to remember that when we're throwing shit out like that.
awesome! I appreciate you taking the time today, tonight, Ryan, and good luck the rest of the way. I hope to see you more at Merrittville, but and hope to see you in Victory Lane pretty regularly at Ohsweken for the rest of the year. Good luck the rest of the way, and thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a
Thanks,
blast.
Ryan. You did good too. You were worried about it, but you did a great job,
Awesome.
buddy.
Cheers, buddy.
Talk
Thanks.
to you.
And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe for future episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.